Local fans of a high-quality Bruins team. Today's a day, man. Today's a lot. The development camp day 2 was awesome. We're going to talk about all of those notes. I know people have asked if I am in the chair for the hotel room. I don't have a chair for this hotel room. We have like this nice little bench for, the chair. Short shift pod listeners know. Hopefully, we're doing better with the audio. I know it was a little sharp last time. We're still trying to get this right. We have a ton to talk about. Let's talk about the moves first, right? The July 1st, silly season, all that stuff. The free agency class was mostly crap. So the Bruins expectedly did a lot of fringe stuff, which, I thought was going to be fine. And it's mostly fine. There's a lot of overreaction right now from me. I'm not saying like I'm not involved in this. I'm also overreacting. But there are some things that I really like. I just don't know what the plan is. And it's halfway through day 1 of free agency. So not knowing what the plan is when it's not your plan, kind of normal. Kind of like a standard in the biz. Sure, you would love to be able to know, but hey, we don't. By the way, I don't know if this is coming out in time to really make sense, but 6:30 is when we're going to be at Roxy's tonight. If those of you are going to join us, please come out and say hello. Also, the dev camp goes for 2 more days. If you want to come out for that, please do. Totally free to anyone to come in. A lot of people have stopped by and said hello. It's been really cool. Let's talk about a couple things first. So, Victor Arvidsson is a Boston Bruin. He has 1 more year at $4 million. He was traded. We traded a 5th round pick for him from Edmonton. Fine. The guy has a great shot. He loves to shoot. So it kind of solves the problem there. He's not going to be the one doing a bunch of passing. Preferably, he's a third liner. I think he's going to start on the left side on the second line because we are very clearly not signing a top 6 guy. We're going to talk about trades in a second, though. We also signed Jordan Harris. He gets a year. He's a 24-year-old left-handed defenseman who I despised watching a couple of years ago. He was just getting absolutely walked over and over again. But there's 2 things about that. I watched him when he was 22 years old, not 24. So why am I going to be negative about this? Maybe he's had some real growth. He has a real offensive upside. And he plays the left side, which we don't necessarily need, but a little depth on that side doesn't hurt anyone. It is a 1-year deal. Who cares? Not concerning. The Tanner Jeannot deal. Awful. Terrible. Stupid. Not the end of the world. It's 5 years, which is insane. Stop giving bottom 6 players huge years. $3.4 million. Also insane. The guy is a defensive forward who doesn't do well defensively. He takes 1 million penalties. He doesn't play on either special team. So even though he's a defensive forward, he isn't a penalty killer. There's a lot bad here. He scored a bunch of goals 1 year with like 19% shooting. Don't fall for it. I don't know what to say about that. It's a bad deal. It's a dumb deal. It's one that's going to cost us about $2 million to the cap when he eventually gets shuttled down to Providence, which he should be tomorrow. So I have no idea why they signed this deal. It doesn't make any sense. The player has not been good forever. I don't get it. He does fight a lot. He can beat the absolute piss out of pretty much anyone that he wants to. If you're doing this in the name of protecting your youth, I feel like we have a few guys already here for that. And it's an insane AAV to give for 5 years to a player for that role. Again, $3.4 million is not the end of the world. It's going to be fine. It's just a dumb deal. 2 things can be true. This doesn't crater the team, but it's stupid. This is a stupid deal. No way around it. It does just get more confusing from there. I'm going to list off some fast ones. Corrali, 2 years, $1.8 million per year. We got Corrali back. Hell yeah, everybody. Asamont, who admittedly I really like. His underlying metrics are interesting. He can positively impact both sides of the ice. He's a winger, but he's a bottom 6 winger. But Asamont is going to get 2 years, $1.4 million per year. I'm really okay with that. Blumel, who I'm not saying the name correctly. I don't have a lot of time before I have to move on to other stuff today, so I'm kind of like I made my notes. I kept moving. But he's 25-year-old. He's a 25-year-old winger who had 39 goals, 33 assists in 67 games. It's over a point per game with Dallas's AHL team last season. I'm not sure why he wasn't kept. So there's a conversation there. But he gets 1 year, $875,000. Alex Steeves, another 25-year-old winger who was a point per game in the AHL for Toronto last year, gets 1 year at $850,000. Merkulov gets re-signed for a year. For the bottom six now, that means, and Beecher also got re-signed. So for the bottom six now, we have Minton, Middlestat, Merkulov, Huznadinov, Jeannot, Steeves, Blumel, Corrali, Arvidsson, Beecher, Asamont, Kostelic, Patra. And fuck anyone else who thinks that they might make a jump to the NHL level. Now, you can take Arvidsson off that list, who's likely going to start on the second left wing. You'll notice I didn't say Lysell during that because I am assuming that they're trying to pencil him in as a second right wing for the team this year. So that's 12-ish names, somewhere around there. It's above 10 for 6 spots. And again, that ignores a bunch of youth options as well. Now, we don't have enough depth where I'd say somebody's getting truly blocked outside of that list. Anybody on that list is going to be considered blocked by the amount of players we have trying to use those spots. So again, it's not the end of the world, but you're throwing a bunch of money around. Not a bunch of money. A lot of it's going to get buried in the AHL. Some of these guys might get lost to waivers. It's just all in all just confusing why you just come out here and hammer all these deals unless Patra or Lysell or Zaka, Middlestat, if somebody's getting moved in a trade or multiple players, it would seem, and maybe by the time this video goes up, that's happened, then all of a sudden it's freeing up spots. What drives me nuts about this, though, is my excitement for this season was about being a team that might not have championship contending status, but was going to play the youth. We were going to figure out what we had in a couple of guys and see where we go from there. I was very comfortable with not wasting a year, but taking a year to reset everything and get where you want to be for 2026, 2027. Now, those of you who have responded on Twitter that the path is very clear. We're going to suck this year. And we have a bunch of these middling to lesser guys who are going to jump up into the roster and lose us a bunch of games so that we can go after McKenna. I don't agree, because what you're doing is you brought in Arvidsson, who should positively impact your team. You have Pasternak and Geekie, and Lindholm, or at least for the last 6 weeks, who should positively impact your team to a level that gets you out of the bottom 10. Same thing goes for a healthy McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm. Zadorov through the last 2 months of the season looked like he was really hitting his stride with the Bruins. You have Swayman, who you're betting on a bounce back. If even some of those things hit, all of a sudden you have a team that is at worst middle of the pack in the league. Now, of course, things could go wrong. You could bottom out and you could get a chance at McKenna. But why would you make all these moves if you were trying to tank for that guy? You're bringing in players who have some value. Blumel might be a real player at the NHL level. There's a possibility for that. Again, 25 years old and the team let him walk, even though he's over a point per game in the AHL. There's something to listen to there that maybe this guy doesn't have what it takes at the next level. But at the end of the day, this roster still isn't one you look at and goes, that's a bottom 10 roster in the league. At least not easily. I don't think this plan in front of us is we're cratering. We're purposefully cratering. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But these signings, with the speed they happened all together, if it was a few of them and not all of them, I'd be fine with. But it does feel like, again, they're just throwing all of these vets, these lower value vets in the bottom 6, preventing younger guys from making a push. It's one of the biggest criticisms for Sweeney over the years is development stalls because you never let them make the jump to the NHL. You always would prefer to have somebody who, like Corrali, bringing him back. Is that really necessary? I love the Corrali leap, and I've actually said multiple times how much I miss it. But is it actually necessary to bring him back for this squad? What does that mean? So right now, it's really hard to see the path. It's day 1. We're a few hours in. I'm not going to be sobbing about it. But it did kind of bum me out. I want to have a season with a plan to it, and a season where some of the youth gets to fight for a spot. And yes, that means we lose some of those games because they make dumb decisions. But those are necessary reps. Feels like some players might be missing out on reps. Maybe a bunch of trades happen. Who knows? Let's move on to the development camp. Today was interesting for a few players. I thought that some of these are really going to mirror what I felt yesterday, some of these notes. But I did find a few things interesting. First of all, I want to start with Cole Chandler, who I said yesterday I didn't get a chance to really look at. And I think a lot of people were impressed with him at the camp. I think I mentioned this. Impressed with him, and I just didn't notice. So my notes about him today was basically he doesn't have one feature that really stands apart. But I do think he handles the puck really well, especially in tight spaces. And his shot found the back of the net frequently. Consistently looked good across the board. Not great at anything, good at the large majority. I don't see his current level. Again, he's got plenty of growth to go. I don't see anything right now glaring as a reason that he has NHL potential. But I think it was a good day for Chandler. Yesterday seems to have been a good day too for the amount of people who brought him up. I just don't see any talents for him that directly translate to the next level, particularly his shot. Although it was fine in the back of the net a bunch today, it doesn't look like a particularly precise or heavy shot. It kind of looks average to me. So interesting to see how he does in the scrimmages for sure and the contact drills. I haven't seen anything with him yet that the Bruins are betting on as that reason he hits the next level. Usually there's at least one or two assets to a player's game that's what they're betting on in later rounds. Gasol, feeling it today. His shot was exactly what he wanted every time. He was burying the puck over and over. It was heavy. It was fast. There isn't much else to say about his overall day. Again, he was attacking the drills the way you'd like to see. It kind of almost felt like he was a veteran presence amongst the other players, which I thought was interesting. But I don't think he's standing out to a large degree, but he's doing everything really well. Hagens is just awesome. You can repeat everything I said yesterday. He's brilliant. He's everything about him you'd love. There is nothing. He actually makes the drills harder for himself. He adds in extra little handling moves and things like that. So you'll see him lose the puck as he's trying something a little more advanced. But it's fantastic. Everything about this player is just shockingly good. Letourneau, on the other hand, no big updates here. Skating is, again, I think improved, but I need to see him with contact against other players who are trying to leverage him, players who are trying to push him around despite his size. I need to see that. That's for later in this week. I don't have much on Letourneau right now. William Moore. This is one of the most fascinating players of today. So he was pissed off the whole time. And it's funny, Mary Beth, somebody with Tape to Tape, was there as well. And she's like, I don't know if he's a whiner or if he just cares that much. He is great with the way he attacks his offensive angles. He was protecting the puck very well. But every misstep he took, every time he didn't score, every face-off drill he lost, which they were doing at the end, he's either barking at the coaches, barking at himself, or barking at the other prospects. I mean, I can't believe there are reports about him taking shifts off. And again, I guess we'll see that in the future if we ever do. But he seems to give a shit more than anybody else. It's like this guy is trying to fight for a job right now. I have no idea what, I mean, I know why it means so much, but his attitude is constantly aggressive and wants to do everything perfectly. The guy holds himself to a high standard. I'm not going to be upset about that. Again, not sure if it's whininess or if he just cares that damn much. But other than that, I felt he did have a good showing. His skating looked good. His shot, his offensive hands, especially directly in front of the goalie, looked pretty good. There's a lot of. He's definitely a multi-year project in my mind. He's just interesting. There's a lot to be interested about him. Jonathan Morello, again, one of my favorites from last year. And once the drills that involved more pressure started, he started to set himself apart, just like last year. He's able to get low and protect the puck well. He has a decent shot, but he really thrives on the boards whenever there was anything that involved that. Now, right now, there is a little bit of bias because we're not seeing my bias. we're not seeing a lot of real pressure, a lot of real defending going on, right? They're putting sticks in the lanes, giving him a shove in the back, just like yesterday. So we're not learning that much here. And I'm really leaning on what I saw from him over the last season and last year at camp. I really am excited to see when contact picks up later this week for him because it feels like that's where he thrives. There are players who won't set themselves apart in drills, but in game situations are truly another level. And I think Morello might be one of those guys, but we'll have to wait and see. Cooper Simpson, again, the skating issues were glaring, but he legitimately, at this point, I'm comfortable saying, has the best shot at camp, Hagen's included. It's a bullet, high corner or just underneath the arm every time. His skating, oddly enough, looks improved once he has a puck on his stick and a defender on his back. He looks like a guy who knows what he wants to do with the puck in those situations, which I thought was really interesting because when he doesn't have that, he's rigid, he doesn't get low at all, and he's fumbling around. Like he can't complete drills in the necessary fashion, and he's getting an earful from coaches throughout. Not in a negative way, like these coaches are here for a reason, right? But it's a fascinating change of pace once he has a puck on his stick, because I think he gets excited and he wants to bury this thing. And boy, can he. I can definitely see why they chose him. Like, that shot is just lethal. Kirill Yemelyanov really showed out today. I was excited to spend more time looking at him. The shot, really clean, really precise, again, with very low contact around him, though. So in practice, it's like NBA, right? You watch a center practice without any crowds or anything like that, and all of a sudden, Dwight Howard can sink 4 threes in a row, and you're like, why can't you do that during a game? It's a different speed. It's a different level. Yemelyanov kind of reminds me of that when he's playing. In moments where he has space and has the ability to take his time, he looks clean as hell, skating, shot, everything. When there's a little pressure on him, he's much more forced into things, and it obviously takes a drop. I don't think that's breaking news for anybody, though. All in all, I can definitely see why they took a late draft flyer on the guy. He was also dominating the face-off drills. I haven't looked at his face-off numbers in the past, though, so I don't know how much I can really learn from that. But the more upset that William Moore got at him, the more he smiled and shoved him around. It was really kind of fun to watch. Will Zeller's skating was getting exposed in some of the drills. He doesn't have a high aptitude for that, but his creativity at the net front and his shot were on full display today. There were a lot of drills that involved that. He's clearly going to struggle to create space at the next level until he adds more explosiveness to his game or more physicality. The physicality, I don't think he has the size for it, though. So it's going to have to be from his skating and explosiveness. Blanar, or Blanash, or whatever the correct pronunciation actually is here. Vashik Richards. He looked more human today. But I think he still showed out, showed better skating than pretty much any defenseman on the ice other than Gronwald or Johansson. The shot still looks beautiful, although he's always seeking for those high value shots. And from distance, again, I want to see him in scrimmages to see what he does when he's got guys in front of the net. Stop sending headhunters up there. Let me see if you can shoot the puck that's looking for a tip. I think in these drills, it makes sense so that you're looking to score from distance. You're trying to show out for the coaches. He gets a ton of attention from the coaches, too. They're always talking to him, and I don't think in a negative way. It's hard to always tell what the conversation is, but a lot of smiling, a lot of laughing, a lot of stick taps. The guy's got something. He's got something. This might have been an off-the-board pick. He doesn't look like an off-the-board player by any means. Ty Gallagher, really excited to see him in the scrimmages. There's not much else to say there. Everything looks identical to yesterday. He looks pissed off. He's attacking every drill as if it's his last drill over and over and over again. I think Ty Gallagher has an NHL future. I really do. God knows we could use it on the right side, but he just gives a shit about everything all the time. And he doesn't care about his size. He's going to go directly into the chest of anyone around him. So I thought another good day for him, but I'm really looking forward to him when the contact ramps up. Elliot Grunwald, I really wanted to spend more time watching him today. Glad I got a better look. He looked a lot more comfortable today as well. The skating is strong, but he's prone to these mistakes when he's trying to go too quick. It's like in his head, he has to be the first one done for everything and then he flubs it. And the same can actually be said about his handling of the puck, his positioning in general, his defending. He gets too antsy about things and ends up screwing himself up. He's a really nice skater. He gets really low. He's not a big guy anyway, but I do like the fact that his skating looks advanced. There's not much else there outside of maybe his game really needs to calm down a little bit. It needs to get more fluid. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Very jittery. Loke Johansson does everything so well. I mean, this kid, NHL future, absolutely. He takes the drill seriously, and he clearly, in my head, is focusing on the little things. He will slow himself down in the middle of a drill to stop and just start to make sure that every motion is exactly the way he wants it. Clearly, whoever is coaching him is spending the time of, hey, we know that you have this skating ability. We know you have this offensive ability. Make sure that you're taking your time doing all the little things right. Make sure that it's all second nature. Then when you get to the next level, you don't have to think about any of it. You just naturally do it. There should be a lot of excitement about Johansson. We'll see how soon he can make a push. We don't really need help on that left side yet, so he's probably a year or two more out. But he already signed his ELC. We'll see. Liam Peterson, really not a lot to say. Doesn't do a lot that sets him apart. I haven't seen the things that are really going to push him forward or why exactly he was drafted. But we'll see if there's something more that pops up later in the week. Christian Kostadinsky. The skating has genuinely improved. He's the monster. 6'7", I don't know, over 200 pounds, big guy. But he was also the guy a year or two ago that literally couldn't skate. They were trying to figure out what to do with him at camp because he couldn't participate in some of the drills because he was that bad of a skater. He has genuinely improved. He's fighting through these drills. He's doing everything he can to kind of work his way up. He's getting a lot of chatter from the coaches, though. They're setting him straight over and over again. He knows the deal, though. If he's going to be able to make a push at the next level, he has got to get to a standard of skating that is good enough. He'll never be a great skater. He'll always be an awkward skater. But staying in front of people long enough that your physicality can take over, that's the game plan. It's nice to see that he's improved. He's still a multi-year project. That's just the way it is. There's two camp invites I want to talk about real quick. CJ Foley is the only defenseman invite that I felt stood out. He's quietly really good at each drill. He doesn't do a ton of exemplary work, but each drill he's consistent, he's focused, good about keeping his head up with the puck on his stick. He's not staring down at his feet, staring down at his stick. So one of those players that we'll see if there's more to his game as the contact drills start, but I think he deserves a little shout out as a camp invite who looks better than the others. And then Boya, I think I'm saying that right. I've heard a few pronunciations of that at this point. The goalie for Maine camp invite, really quick lateral movements. Blocker side gets beat way too often and way too easily. He loses that side, usually when it's his far side, but he handles rebounds well and tracks the puck really well. That's one thing I was noticing is he is really, really aggressive with his angles and knows where that puck's going after every touch. So that's nice to see. I like his aggressive style. Obviously, a lot of work to do, a lot of growth to go. That's goalies in general at this level. But I think he's the only goaltender who has really kind of shown that there's something else there. Svedback obviously is at the camp, but there's not a lot he's doing that's all that impressive. It's really hard to judge these goaltenders, though, because you're going to watch them get beat multiple times. They're facing shots and situations where players are within 10 feet over and over and over again, especially towards the end of the camp where these reps are getting exhausting for them in particular. It's hard to keep up. So really hard to judge them. I don't want to be too critical, but Svedback I haven't seen too much from. Silverstein's interesting because I like that glove side for him. He seems to attack things relatively well. Sometimes he can get caught a little too deep, but his lateral movements are really, really strong and really, really fast. So there is at least an interesting side to him. And Corpy, there really isn't much to say yet. I'm curious to see how his week continues. Again, not really a negative thing with the goaltenders. They're so hard to properly figure out in these settings that we got to give a lot of grace and just see kind of what the coaches say after the fact, because I also don't know what the coaches are saying to them. I'm not in earshot of that. They might be working on things specifically that make other things look worse. I mean, that's a real part of this. So not much to say about him in particular, but in general, Boya is the goaltender that keeps drawing my eye the most. He also has this teal blue kit that looks really cool. So maybe that's actually what's happening. Anyway, that's my take on day 2. Please come out and join us at Roxy's if you can in just a few hours, or by the time you're watching this and all the way through it, it's in like an hour. And don't overreact about the free agents yet. The plan hasn't solidified. I'm going to trust Sweeney has an idea in mind of what he wants to do. I'm a little scared for guys like Patra, like Liesel, that they might be on the move with the kind of moves that are being made. But I don't have it in me to freak out yet. I will genuinely say that I had an overwhelming feeling of bummer seeing all these signings, because I do want to dedicate ourselves to a little bit more of a youth movement where these young guys really get the reps that they need. I'm afraid of doing this again, where we're forcing guys out of the lineup, demanding them to be players that they aren't at the lower levels, rather than counting on their strengths and seeing if they could build it up at the NHL level in a year that is likely not a contention year anyway. A lot of interesting factors here. Not the end of the world by any means in any of them. Go Bees. Go Bees!